The Colorado Music Festival is getting ready to kick off at Chautauqua Auditorium, and Peter Ungen, the music director for the festival, joins us now with some of the highlights from the summer. So Peter, festival will include 13 guest artists. Who are you excited to be working with?
Oh, what a difficult question to start with. I don't really invite anybody to the festival that I wouldn't be excited to work with, actually. So we have 13 incredible artists. But I suppose, one of the most important things is that we have the Takash Quartet, who one of the greatest quartets in the history of string quartet playing, and they have resided in Boulder at CU for 30 years at least. And so we're very, very excited to have them in residence this summer. And they're going to open the festival actually with a piece by John Adams, talking of whom he's the composer in residence. He's arguably the greatest composer alive today, and a great friend. And so I'm very excited to have him come along as well in the third week to be composer in residence. But I must say all of the artists are spectacular, and they're all playing great repertoire and a tremendous variety of repertoire. So there's lots to choose from.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. We know there will be 3 world premieres. Tell us about those.
Yeah, well, we start with a piece by Timo Andres, who actually was recommended to me by John Adams, but I knew him because he's a very renowned composer and pianist himself. So he's going to be with us in residence in the third week of the festival, which we're sort of calling loosely Music of Today, because we play really only music by living composers, which is really exciting. So his premiere is an orchestral piece called Dark Patterns. And then we have a piece by Wang Ji, who's a fantastic Chinese-American composer. And she's a rock climber and a mountain climber. And her piece is called Flying on the Backs of Our Mountains. And it's in the last week of the festival, actually, beginning of August. I talked to her about it recently. And apparently it's kind of a modern-day version of Bolero, Ravel's Bolero. So she's excited about that. And then Wynton Marsalis has written a fanfare, with which we'll start the closing concert of the festival. And that also features one of the greatest symphonies ever written, Mahler's Fifth Symphony.
It's just incredible. You mentioned it a little bit briefly, Music of Today. What does Music of Today week all include?
Well, we have the Ataka Quartet, who are one of the greatest quartets playing today, and they play a lot of contemporary music. So wonderful program that they bring to us on the Tuesday of that third week. So we're talking about mid-July, second week of July, really. And then John Adams is in residence, so we'll have the Timo Andres, as I mentioned. We'll also have John's fantastic piano concerto with Jeremy Denk, another great pianist. And then John will conduct his own City Noir, which is a great piece written for the LA Philharmonic and actually the Toronto Symphony. And that's one of the most dramatic pieces composed in the last 15 years. And then I'm actually going to close that week with Symphony No. 6 by Christopher Rouse, who is the only not living composer. But the reason he's there is because he passed away very recently, right after he'd completed his Sixth Symphony, did not even hear the premiere performance of his Sixth Symphony, which happened right before the pandemic. This is the second performance worldwide of this extraordinary piece. In addition to which, he was quite close friends with John Adams, and they even had the same birthday. So it kind of seemed to include. And one last thing to mention about this I'm very excited about is that John has a son who's an incredibly brilliant and accomplished composer called Samuel Adams. And we're doing his chamber concerto, which is a violin and chamber orchestra, also in that week. So everything will be a surprise, including this Kaleidoscope concert on the night in between the orchestral ones, which is like nobody can predict what's going to happen on that night. It's a little bit closer to kind of a performance experience than a normal classical music concert, I'd say.
Which really kind of leads into what I was going to talk to you about next. There's the rich classical music, but you also have some of those fun visual performances like Kaleidoscope, as well as A Midsummer Night's Dream. Tell us about those and why you guys wanted to include those as well.
Yeah, well, for The Midsummer Night's Dream, John Delancey, the great actor, is going to be narrating. But there are also actors, child actors, other actors from the local area taking on various roles. And even our tuba player, who's an incredible personality, will be taking on a role of bottom, I believe. So that will be fun. But the Kaleidoscope really does have visuals. I have always felt that Having some extra access to some classical music concerts would be really exciting. So we have screens up at the back, 3 of them, and there are different visuals on each screen. So you can see from above, from up close, and the program is incredibly varied and quite unpredictable. And we did it for the first time last year, and I have to say it was probably my favorite concert. That's partly because I was in the audience for it. On this particular occasion, I will be conducting one piece, but it's like 7 or 8 different pieces, and it's a really kind of dramatic performance art experience.
Wow, that sounds really cool. You guys just have so much going on. It's really exciting to talk to you about it. Peter, too, the musicians who make up the festival orchestra come from all over the country. Is it a challenge to get them all on the same page in like such a short amount of time?
It's one of the most incredible things about orchestra playing. It is probably the greatest example of human collaboration that we can point to. I mean, it's incredible. The coordination, it's not just of time, but of, sound, color, expression is all so beautifully coordinated. And these people have been playing together during the summertime for many, many years. Some of them 30 years. Some of them are new, but they adapt extremely quickly, and it's just a language that we all try to understand as fast as we can and express with as much conviction as we can. And of course, we have the fantastic Chautauqua Auditorium in Boulder, which is one of the most stunning buildings. It's 1898, and it's just so beautiful to walk into visually, and then the acoustics there are brilliant, very exciting, very pure, very warm. So, all of it points to a tremendous experience, I think, for whether you're on the stage or in the audience.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Peter. And, the lineup looks amazing this summer. And, you can't wait to be at Chautauqua Auditorium as a venue. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. We appreciate your time and telling us all about it.
Great pleasure. Thank you so much, Mackenzie.
Absolutely. And for a link to buy tickets, you can go to cbsdenver.com.